Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll open our meeting and invite any citizens to be heard. Are there any citizens in the audience or online who wish to be heard? Any citizens? Hearing none, we'll go on to our next point of business, and that's to approve the consent agenda. The agenda has been emailed, and the minutes from the May 12th meeting and the June 2nd study session have been submitted. Were there any any changes or additions to the agenda or the minutes? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second? Andy, thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. I'll just take a moment before we start our finance report and welcome everybody and thank you for your time last week. I'm very pleased with our conversation, and it's nice to have an opportunity to get to know each other a little bit and lay out some future planning. So I appreciate the extra time and very, very thankful for your input, and very impressed by the power that we have in this team here. I think we can do some really great things. Now I know all your secrets. We're going to ask you to be doing a lot more. So I just want to mention that. So why don't we move on to the finance report, and we can open that up with the review of the 2024 audited financial statements. They were in our Dropbox. I'm not sure that all of us got to the Dropbox, so I'm not sure that all of us had a chance to review. I got through a couple pages this afternoon and did not. So I think we have a presentation. And again, we're kind of informal here today. Nothing, nothing too fancy.
Okay, so there's no one that has the audit report on them?
So we have.
You have one copy? Okay, because I have page numbers.
So there's a copy. So two of us have copies.
Okay.
It would be best if we had the copies in front of us, I think. So delay, why don't we delay, if that's okay?
That's fine. You want to delay?
Yeah, do you need some more money for the parking meter?
No, that's
No.
okay. Don't worry about that.
So yeah, we can postpone till later on in the meeting then, because I think it's best that that the hard copies are in front of us. So if we want to make a note or see visually, then I think it's going to be more, more meaningful. And given, the size of our numbers are growing, we'd like to know that then. So we will defer. Thank you so much for your patience. Moving on then, we'll go on to the internal audited, or the non-audited numbers, the internal reports then. And I would ask whoever is presenting, is April's presenting today?
Yes. So in your packet, we have the first, the profit and loss statement through May 31st. So we have total grant revenue from January through May of over $700,000. For just the month of May, our grant revenue was about $287,000 of that, including an ARPA Healthy Homes draw that was $167,000 and ARPA admin that was about $75,000. It was showing our total service revenue was the $324,000, which for May included $131,500. Part of that was from the Erie County Department of Planning for Act 137 Phase 3 for about $46,000, and Whole Home for $62,000, and Erie Land Bank for about $20,000. And then that brings us to a net income of $36,427.55.
Okay.
Next, we have the balance sheet. It was showing that our balance in the general fund at the end of May was just under $297,000. Total assets were $11.6 million. And then I have the printout of the copies of the check detail for the month of May. There were quite a few of them as we were trying to finish getting everything out of the system as we transition over to Blackbaud. And then the next paper we had is the bank reconciliation report for the general fund account.
And April, just as an FYI, I think the emailed check detail didn't contain, the right-hand column was missing on, is that, okay. Didn't mean to, just for future reference, it was not a big deal, I was able to figure things out, but
I think that was a formatting issue we had.
yeah,
but
so
yes.
we'll get it. Report. I see we have some outstanding checks from last calendar year. Do we need to speak to
We-
that individual about cashing his checks?
We do.
Okay. We won't mention any names. All right. All right, April covered a lot of territory. Were there any questions on this 6 or 5 months worth of operating for the authority? Hearing none, is there a motion to accept the financial reports as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second to?
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeremy. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you very much. Okay, I think we have hard copies of the audited financial statements, so we'll take a pause. So if you'd be kind enough to join us once again and introduce yourselves and make us.
So my name is George Jurcevich. I am a principal at Zelenkovsky Axelrod, and I was the person in charge of the audit this year. So just beginning on page 1, this is right after the table of contents.
Basically, everybody gets 2 packets. I only have one.
Oh, I gave you, I gave up. I see what I did.
There should be a single audit report.
Oh, one of these things is not like the other. Okay, all right.
Let's see if we vote. Yeah, I gave. So
I mistakenly, so I have both of them. So I'm good.
I have the single audit. Thank you.
And you drove in from Harrisburg? No,
Washington, Pennsylvania.
Washington, okay,
Yeah,
so,
right up 79.
all right.
Yep.
So we're looking at the single audit first, or we're looking
The
at
the
the
financial audit.
financial audit?
statements.
Okay, thank you. The larger of the two reports.
Correct.
Okay, I think we're good.
All right, so this is page 1. The first couple paragraphs here, this is probably the most important thing that you need to know, and that is that the authority is receiving an unmodified opinion. So that's the best opinion that could be received, and basically just means that the financial statements are materially correct, okay? So we're going to flip to page 4. And so this is the financial highlights section, and I think this summarizes the financial results pretty well. So total net position this year was about 3.4 million, which is an increase of about 3.1 million from the prior year. Total revenues were about 7.6 million, which is an increase of about 4.5 million from the prior year due to ARPA funding from the city of Erie, as well as the recognition of previously unspent ARPA funding. Total expenditures were about 4.5 million, an increase of 1.5 from the prior year, again due to increased activity because of the ARPA funding. And now there were some changes from the prior year report. So if everybody wants to flip to page 20, and this we're going to be taking a look at note 11. All right, so this is note 11, changes to or within the financial reporting entity. So we fixed some errors in the beginning balances for the inventory held for sale, accounts payable, and capital asset balances. These balances now reflect the records kept by the authority, which we believe to be correct. And so you see here is the effect of those adjustments, which was an increase in beginning net position of 124,000 and a decrease in beginning fund balance of 47,000. So that basically sums up the financial audit. I'm going to briefly just touch on the single audit. I don't have any page number checks for you guys. But, so the single audit, that is the audit of the authority's compliance of the major federal programs and the internal control over those major federal programs. So total federal expenditures were $3.7 million. The federal programs tested were both the Lead Hazard Reduction Grant as well as the American Rescue Plan Act. And the results of the audit is that the authority is again receiving an unmodified opinion over compliance, and we have no internal control deficiencies to report. So that is the 2024 audit. It's all good things. Any questions for me?
On your engagement with us, did you happen to notice any suggestions or, or maybe you've already communicated that with the staff and everything? Certainly there are some best practices that we all are trying to learn, which I always like to use the audit report as a learning opportunity, as kind of ongoing education. If you're going to pay for the document, you might as well pay for some professional advice.
We actually believe that the authority, for their staffing level, is pretty much doing everything that they're able to do as far as business processes to be, as good as they can be. So we really didn't have anything in way of suggestions for them.
Okay, great. Yeah, and if you do or see things, feel free. I mean, again, it's
Absolutely.
ongoing education. Things change throughout the years, and you might see how other clients are doing
Sure.
things as a suggestion. So, very open to that. Then, any other questions on the audits or anything? How's everybody's comfort level? Are we willing to accept the audit as presented, or do we need any more time? I mean, this is a lot of information quickly, and I want to respect the amount of time that was put into this, but also make sure that we're, feeling comfortable, confident. And one of our members, who happens to be an accountant, is absent today.
Oh, really?
So I'm not sure that he had a chance to look at this.
Yeah,
Then.
if he has any questions, April has my email.
Correct. Are we under any deadline? I know that in my prior life, I had a 90-day turnaround time on an audit. It was not fun, but do we have any investors or government entities waiting for it in terms of deadline?
The state will require it as part of our CDBG funding for next year.
Correct.
That's the only tie to that. We file with the city, the clerk's office. State doesn't require us to get it in, but we are required to have by the end of June our CDBG application to the city of Erie.
So Ethan has not asked me to do this, but at a courtesy for him and his profession, I'd like for him to first take a peek at it and then give a thumbs up. So can we could either table this to vote on to accept it at our next meeting, or we can do it through an e-vote this week or next week when Ethan returns. Is there a recommendation or suggestion? Is that people come? Okay.
We don't have email voting in our bylaws.
Oh. Well,
We are convening the 26th.
we need to verify that because I don't think that Andy's available that week. Well, why don't we, okay. Why don't I go ahead and vote today, and should Ethan, I'll do a special request to Ethan, and should he have any questions or concerns, he just makes that available then. And I suppose we could always amend the motion or something like that to keep things moving along. How does that sound to everybody?
That sounds good.
Okay. Trying to be efficient, but also, handle things properly then. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the single audit and the financial statements as presented, allowing our member Ethan to also review and concur. Is there a motion for that?
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any abstain? Any noes? Hearing none, motion carries. We'll just leave the door open for our one member then. Thank you very much.
Have a good
Appreciate
day.
your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you. organize myself here so I don't. This stays, this goes, okay. Moving on to item D, report of the executive directors. We have our solicitor, Mr. Sundberg. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Board. It's nice to be here. You have in front of you, and as part of the packet, the solicitor's report dated June 9th. You'll see on the first four pending condemnation actions, they've all been served. No contact by the property owners for 1, 3, or 4. I did receive a phone call back from the property owner on number 2. She confirmed that it was vacant, that she indicated that periodically she'll stop in there, but that she's not living there and no one is living there. She indicated that in all likelihood, she would be sending the documentation to her own attorney, and I welcome that and have not heard anything further from that. So I don't anticipate that there's going to be any issues or problems with regard to property that's listed as number 2. Number 5, on Van Buren Avenue, that gentleman, I have spoken to him on any number of occasions. He is going to come in tomorrow afternoon and sign a deed in lieu of condemnation. That'll greatly speed up the process and will help the turnaround of that property in very short order. Number 6, again, there's been service, but there's been no contact at all with regard to that person. Likewise, item number 7 on East 11th Street is the same situation. They've been served, but there's been absolutely no contact or communication back to my office. The properties listed on number 8, they're in process. 1012 and 1014, those are owned by the same person, so they're kind of going hand in hand. So I would anticipate that those properties will be right in line following the properties 1 through 7. As I always want to do, and it's important for the board to know as well, there have been successful rehabilitations, and I think that it's, that's exactly why we're here and what we're trying to accomplish. So the East 22nd Street, that's been completed. We have the final documentation to be signed and filed of record so that all right, title, and interest is transferred back to the property owner. Likewise, we're waiting on getting signed documentation for a 920 East 21st Street. So those are good situations. The process works. When the homeowners work with us, we can help facilitate getting it across the finish line. Number 11, I've itemized. These are properties with, again, sales agreements and deposits for us to get ready and to get those transactions closed. So you'll see where we stand with those, and that's going to be a continued monthly report so that the board knows where we stand with these properties. In the past, it's taken a little bit longer than anticipated or expected to get to closing, so we've fine-tuned our processes to make sure that these are turned around in short order. Number 12, we've talked about that of recent. We're still trying to figure out exactly where we stand with that. I don't have anything new to report since last week, but we'll be pushing that forward. The properties with regard to the county, that's really kind of just a wait and see. We don't know where that is. So I think that it might take Aaron and I determining what, if anything, we should do with regard to those, or just wait and see. I don't want things to sit too long
And do we know what the intended reuse of that, was that related to the prison over there, or?
And we don't.
Oh, I see. Oh. Interesting.
So
Enough said.
it's one of the, yeah. We just don't know how hard to push it. So, leave them off alone. 750 East 13th Street, again, that's, we're going to get a resolution on that, and we should be good to go. And then I am delighted to have to discuss for the last time item number 15. It took a lot of work and a lot of patience on behalf of Aaron and his team to get that to the point where all the final documentation has been signed, all the documentation through City Hall has been signed and approved, and all of the documentation has been filed of record, transferring all right to own interest back to the owner. So we are hopeful that we will never see that property on our list again. But again, that was a successful. It took us 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
It took us 2 years, but it was a success story that's important for the board to know that we are working with people to help guide them, sometimes drag their feet to the fire repeatedly, but to do what they need to do to get the property back to a point where it's appropriate for it to be conveyed back to them. So we were successful on that property as well. So with that, that is the extent of my report.
Well, and I wanted to personally thank you for 612 West 16th Street. That was, the buyer was very interested, and I would bump into him socially, so it's, I can now go out in public again.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, yes. I always want to make sure that that can happen.
Well, it's, welcome to Erie, Pennsylvania,
Yeah,
where
it
there's
is.
3 degrees of separation, and we all bump into each other and talk shop and so on, so it can't be
is.
helped, so.
It's exactly right.
I told him to be patient, and good things would happen, so thank you for that, and
My
good things
pleasure.
will happen.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Any questions for our solicitor? Okay, hearing none, you're good. Perfecto. Okay, and on to Mr. Snippert now.
All right, thank you. Well, let me get the hot mic on. So, Executive Director's Report for May 2025. I'm just gonna, it was a busy month, but not a lot of stuff going on. Just kind of hit the highlights. Tracy and I had some conversations with the city's neighborhood, Planning and Neighborhood Resources Department to discuss ENGP and how the coordination of that will work with some of their neighborhood planners as we continue to engage and bring together the neighborhood groups, the neighborhood watches, along with the underrepresented or unrepresented areas of the city of Erie. So I think that meeting went fairly well. Tracy and them have continued to meet. We did our staff day, kind of working out at 2321 Cameron Road on May 9th to get that ready for sale. Continue our conversations with Groundwork Erie in collaboration on the East Bayfront Greenway Trail project. Groundwork Erie is mowing the lots in that footprint for the authority and the land bank this season, from that 6th to 12th parade to Wayne area, to help kind of work their youth training program and provide some resources to them, along with the PA Council of the Arts. Tracy worked diligently on an NAP application. We reached out to numerous business entities across the city of Erie, met with several of them. However, unfortunately, we're unable to get any commitment letters for our accessory structure demolition program. So for this calendar year, we did not submit an additional ENGP NAP application, but we are going to continue to work toward that for the next funding year. So
And we have been in the past successful with,
we've been successful in the Love Your Block application. UPMC this year was the only one that funded that, I believe, for $25,000. But that was under a special allocation in cooperation with the city of Erie. So, we'll continue to try. I think it's just kind of and this was more SPP instead of NAP. I apologize.
so these are
Different funding
DCED tax credit programs, which are highly competitive, because I just know the number of nonprofits use them just for their just basic operation. I know that or another organization I am, that's how we pay our executive director and so on in terms of programs. So unless you have a business willing to buy the tax credits, and there's so much competition, it's hard. So don't take the fact that it wasn't funded, a failure. It's just that the competition is really tough these days.
Yeah.
So I applaud you trying. It's hard.
Yes, yeah. So we'll continue working on that for next year. May 21st, we hosted the open house and press conference at the Land Bank's Cameron Road property. As part of the completion of that is the first one held by the Land Bank for rehabilitation. And then just as a note to that, it is under sales agreement. We entered into a sales contract the following Monday for the purchase of that at full asking price. So that's all positive news there. Throughout the month of May, we've been working to onboard the Neighborly software. We have a planned go live of June 16th for that software. So next Monday, we're going to go live, and applications will open the following Monday into the new software. So it's coming along good. As with any software implementation, there's some back and forth and continuous edits to things within our processes that they don't necessarily have in their boilerplate. So that's going well. We did complete 2 new production programs under the ARPA program of our new production program with the St. Joseph, one on the east side and one on the west side. So those projects are starting to come in, along with Hands opened the bids for 1319 Parade Street, which we have the Land Bank had involvement in that property in acquiring it, and the Redevelopment Authority has grant funding in there toward the rehabilitation, well, now the new construction of 4 units on Parade Street. So April and I have continued to meet on budget and program forecasting, as we discussed before, with the ARPA funding coming to an end and those programs wrapping up. We continue to look at the operations of the authority and how we can continuously look to work as lean as possible and keep the operations moving as we continue to search different funding to keep things moving forward. May 29th, I attended a historic preservation event at the Erie Art Museum. Really, it was a recognition of the Historic Review Commission, and of course, the Redevelopment Authority's funding for historical significant improvements to properties across the city of Erie. And some of those clients or those recipients of those grant funds spoke highly of the Redevelopment Authority and the funding that was eligible to them through the Historic Review Commission at the event. So, but other than that, just looking ahead, PA Housing and Redevelopment Agencies conferences in Gettysburg, June 22nd through the 25th. I'll be down there on Sunday for a couple of the meetings, and then I have 2 sessions, and April and Kyle will be attending with me because it's heavy on his human resources and land banking, so both beneficial along with some code enforcement issues. So it's going to be a good conference, and looking forward to that. That's it.
You appreciate the written report, very helpful. Lots going on, and helps us to be reminded of everything. So really appreciate that, and appreciative of thinking strategically going forward. Then I do worry about the future of the authority once the ARPA funds have been exhausted. What we can do in terms of revenue-producing programs, projects, and the fact that you're continuing to explore those, and we all think about those things are top of mind. 18 months or 24 months from now, things could look differently, and we're trying to make sure that things go well for us.
Yeah.
Questions for Aaron in terms of his report or activity? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on to the housing rehabilitation reports, Ms. Cook, I think.
All right. Hello and happy Monday.
Happy Monday, hello.
So you might notice that the report looks a little different this month. Aaron and I discussed helping you guys get a better visual of what finished projects we've got going and how this process sort of goes in terms of how busy we are across all of our programs. So this will be a living graph as we go forward. It'll update every month. So it'll give you, every month you'll know what's been completed up to or during that quarter, what's been completed through the program total up through that date, and then letting you know how many things we've got in process. So in process can be those are anything that's from an approved application to they're currently getting work done right now this moment, but are not yet completed projects. But so by looking at this, you can see the total completed in the first quarter of the year, lower, which you'd expect in winter. But we've already ramped up quite a lot in Q2 so far. As of the end of May, we've already completed several projects on the year, and have many, many more in progress that probably a lot of those will be finished by our next meeting. The big one to note there is LHRD 2020. We have officially hit the 110 that we needed for our benchmark goal. We are going to squeeze in at least one more job under that just to make sure we've really stretched those funds out. And the other one of note, at the bottom, the county child care, it's got NAs right now. It is a new program that the county has allocated some of the ARP funds toward rehabilitating some in-home child cares across Erie County. We have officially started doing their intakes and scheduling inspections this week. I've got, of these 16 approved applicants, 12 of them are already scheduled, so.
But I think that's a super important initiative. You think about the economy and helping families go to work and trying to find affordable daycare for their children and safe daycare as well. And, you know,
Yep, and we've been committed to this project for a few years now. We started with a mini grant through the National Center for Healthy Housing a few years ago. That kind of became the springboard to meeting with some of these daycares within the city. And again, these are just the in-home ones, not commercial.
So these are daycares that might have a capacity for like 4, 6 children?
Some of them have up to 12.
Really?
Of the applicants we have. What we do know is that in the city, there's roughly 70 total daycares, and over 40 of those are in-home.
Okay.
So it's a very, very important niche in our community. It's very needed by working parents. They keep non-traditional hours, they do overnights, all these different things that a lot of commercial places don't. And they just generally have not had access to a lot of the same resources as their commercial counterparts.
Absolutely. So I don't have kids, but I just know from my
Yeah.
friends who do have kids, the importance and significance of this service. So
Yep, for sure. And with talks with both the city and the county, this is part of economic development as well.
Oh, it's huge.
Because it's really
Well,
hard
if a
for families to go.
Yeah, if a person can't get to work because their child is sick, or can't take a better paying job because it's too far away from the child's daycare. I mean, those matter. All those things matter.
Correct.
And transportation plays into this. So it's a very complicated thing. So
Yeah.
thank
and-
you for leading the initiative, and on behalf of the board, we're appreciative of
Yeah, I'm pretty super excited about this program. This was a wonderful program that the county is letting us administer. And I expect to have all those funds committed pretty quick because the response was swift to it. So I'm very busy with intakes this week and next. Beyond that, I won't read you all over all our numbers. All of the programs have lots of projects that are approved and in process right now. Many that are under contract, so now it's kind of in contractor hands, waiting for them to get through the list. The wait list actually has experienced quite a jump on both the city and county side over the last few weeks, so that is a thing of note. Otherwise, we did gain a new lead contractor, a firm that he's previously operated out of Chautauqua County, applied for reciprocity in Pennsylvania, passed his exam, so we anticipate, they've completed a few rehab projects for us already, so hopefully soon we'll get them into bidding on some lead jobs as well. Other than that, we have some training classes coming up in July, specifically for a lead supervisor initial, and for those who don't speak that side of things, those are the ones that we need to get new firms that are able to be lead certified. They have to have one supervisor on their staff.
Okay.
So procuring new interested firms to take and pass a supervisor class and exam is how we get new lead contractors, which is what we always need. So hoping to get we have some decent interest, so hoping I get a lot of good enrollment for that.
All right. Questions?
No.
Comments? Anything? Okay, great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And the whole team who puts all these things together. So now I think we're on to Ms. Davis, right? If I'm not-
So this year, our application for our scholarship we had more applications than we had in the past, and it was a little harder this year. It seems to get harder and harder every year. They're really great folks. So you have a paper in front of you that kind of outlines everything, but we looked into several different aspects when choosing our candidates for the scholarship. And those were volunteerism, demonstrated dedication, community engagement, and the likelihood of follow-through. We have two really accomplished folks. One's name is Brooklyn and one's is Rashawn. And Rashawn comes highly referenced from one of our community partners, as well as he works with a community organization as his part-time job. Additionally, he volunteers with an additional community program. So he's well-rounded. He works hard. His grades were really good, but not as impressive as some of the other ones. But he maintained a really good grade point average and worked, and he was a student athlete. And overall, Aaron and I were very impressed with him. So Brooklyn also came highly referenced, not only personally, professionally, and from her educational background. She's an adult learner, and she's looking to further the opportunities for her and her children. She has a job lined up, so she's ready to go as soon as she graduates. Do you have any questions for me?
I do, but I talk a lot. I just want to make sure anybody else has any questions.
It's a good report.
A couple things, just so out of the authority's general operating budget is where the funds come from. So these aren't fundraised dollars, these are just out of that we set as part of our budget.
Yes. Okay. However, we did fundraise at Erie Gives last year. Yes. And so those funds will be added to this as well. It was a smaller offering, what we were able to obtain from Erie Gives, but still, for our first year, I was pleasantly surprised and super happy with it. So
ENGP will be participating in Erie Gives again.
Correct.
And you'll ask the chairs of the Redevelopment Authority and the Land Bank and ENGP to ask their boards to participate in Erie Gives.
Yeah.
So that we can have as near as 100% participation.
Yeah. And this year,
I'm helping along. This is very exciting.
So this year, I'm not sure if anybody's aware, but Erie Gives is also accepting checks for longer than it has in the past. In the past, it's only been a couple of weeks, but this year it's almost 2 months. So it's really exciting. Yeah.
And something I picked up recently in my office is that when doing a scholarship, I'm assuming you send the scholarship dollars to the financial aid office of the institution.
Correct.
And not to the individual, because otherwise it becomes a taxable event if
Correct.
it goes to the individual as opposed to going to the financial aid office.
Correct.
And it's not a taxable, so you are already on that.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. I just stumbled across it recently, then a similar situation in my office, and the donor wanted it to go to the student. We said that it becomes a taxable event.
Right.
So,
Right.
okay. Perfect.
Yep.
All right. Excellent. Congratulations. Thank you. Then on to the item number 3, which is the creation of the committees. We spoke in our session a couple weeks ago about creating a bylaws committee, which I think is probably the first one, and then followed probably by a finance related committee as well. So I would ask at this time to formally appoint Jeremy to lead our bylaws committee. You did volunteer, right? I did. Okay, just officially then. And then once that's moving along a little bit, then I think we'll establish the finance committee. And unless we want to do that right now, just I think it was, maybe it was consensus that, yeah,
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah, yeah, and that gets, helps our structure then, so that we can maybe add more people, non-board members to help April and everything, because as we grow and become more sophisticated, it's become more important then, so. So is there a motion to establish the bylaw committee and the finance audit committee?
And I think that for a point of clarification, instead of just being limited to bylaws, I think we were talking governance.
Governance, thank you.
Yeah, so
You did
governance.
clarify that then, yes.
You're right.
So, so is there a motion to, and we'll call it, let's call it the governance committee then, and this way it's more broad. So motion to create a governance commission, or committee, and a motion to, a similar motion to create a finance audit committee.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, signify
Aye.
by. Any abstains? Any noes? Motion carries then. Very good. And we can follow through internally, but you know what to do. It's pretty straightforward then, so we covered a lot of territory. Great. Next, item number 4 is the authority appoints one member to the Erie Land Bank. I'm currently that member. I will term off at the July meeting. Aaron went out and secured some nominations. I saw that there was 2 that self-nominated. Is the next step then to interview?
That's going to be my suggestion, is, certainly set some times for interviews. I didn't know if we wanted to kind of do that mid next month. We wanted to do it before the next board meeting, like the, half hour before, whatever, the will of the board is.
Yeah, well, I will not be at the July Land Bank meeting. I'll be 5 hours ahead of schedule
In July.
in July.
Okay.
Yeah, I will not be at the authority or the Land Bank meeting in July. So if we can move this along a little faster, and maybe we, maybe just kind of feel both candidates out and see what, I'd be happy to be on that team and lead the team. 4 o'clock is good for me, and if it has to be outside of City Hall so we don't get in conflict with the security folks, we could meet at a coffee shop or something, that would be fine as well then.
Okay.
No, both candidates look promising. And the way I look at it is that, we might choose a more successful candidate, and the other candidate becomes maybe something for the authority board or another, or ENGP or something like that. So as people come forward and are interested in the work that we do, we can kind of move them around or suggest a different opportunity or engagement for them.
Even our committees.
Even our committees, absolutely, then kind of grow that out then, so it'd be great, but it'd be great to meet face to face if you want to set up, and then we'll invite everybody who can, who can come, and if that's comfortable for everybody. I don't expect 100% attendance at all meetings, on these, but, if there's a strong opinion, we'll defend, otherwise we'll move ahead. Fair? Okay.
Good.
In other words, tell me to stop at any moment and I'll stop, but otherwise we will move ahead and, keep things moving, so, okay. Perfecto. Okay. So then we have item number 5, which is a condemnation action.
Yes, so this is a request to the board to approve the condemnation acquisition of 917 Ash Street. This is a property that it's essentially now it's a vacant lot. We've tried to work with the property owner. It was blighted. The city had to intervene, do emergency demolition. We've tried to work with the property owner to get a deed and secure a deed, and it's come to the point as we continuously schedule meetings with the individual and continuously they don't arrive. So as part of the East Bayfront Greenway Trail, we own 2 lots at 10th and Ash. This would make 3 lots and make a nice part to really the center of that East Bayfront Greenway Trail was defined by Michael Baker International in the original plan. So I'm asking the board to approve the condemnation acquisition.
Is there a motion? I'm not familiar with the property, but hopefully someone else is, or we're otherwise good to go. Is there a motion to accept the resolution as presented?
Just one point of clarification. So the building has been torn down, but it's still considered blighted? Okay, yeah. And so from a legal perspective, there's no issue going forward. There's this like condemnation, even though the buildings.
No, because the presentation to the planning commission was to utilize the lot as part of a community asset. So it satisfies the requirement under the blight, under urban redevelopment law.
Okay.
And I'm seeing a favorable head nod out in the audience as well, so. All right, any further questions? If not, is there a motion to accept the resolutions as presented?
I'll move this.
And Andy seconds? Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Motion carries. We have real estate services contracts or proposals that have come forward. I'm not familiar with the intent. I'm not forgetting about what we intended, but maybe you could tee us up.
Right, so under the Erie Land Bank, we have entered into real estate services with Pennington Lines to help us provide a greater reach to our real estate holdings when we are preparing to list them. As with the land bank, it's vacant lots and structures for rehabilitation, and it's worked really well. The authority does have some structures that, you know, potentially we don't have the ability, or they're a little bit outside of the means for the redevelopment authority to rehabilitate internally, but they would be good developer opportunities, and it's just better to have that reach. So those would certainly be properties, but then we do have some larger tracts of land which could be primed for development, and we could put those out as well. So it's just nice to have a realtor that we can have under contract and the ability to transfer, or to allow them to list those properties on the MLS. So I received 2 proposals, one from Agresti, one from Pennington Lines. We have experience with Pennington Lines. They've been great under the land bank. Agresti's proposal was a little bit less as far as cost-wise on the compensation, no listing fees. I was leaning toward recommending Pennington Lines, but given some of the, and Kyle can relate to, you know, the issues when we have the same vendor that performs services for the redevelopment authority and the land bank, sometimes it gets a little confusing, specifically when stuff goes to the finance office and it's billed to race when it should be land bank, and we spend a lot of time. So I would, my recommendation to the board would be to enter into a contract with Agresti to just have 2 separate realty firms, one for the redevelopment authority and one for the land bank. If Agresti doesn't work out, then we can certainly open it up in a year and re-enter into another contract with somebody else.
And it's a 1-year contract,
Yes.
right? So this actually is favorable, I think, having the 2 different ones, because a year from now, you can actually then kind of assess each of the 2 firms, should you want to have one firm doing both for both organizations then. But having the diversity perhaps with 2 different firms and approach, you might find the best practices one another and kind of elevates each other up.
Yeah.
A little competition doesn't hurt either, I think, sometimes. So I think that's a good strategy. And speaking on behalf of the land bank, we saw some immediate successes, I think. The properties that were kind of hanging out there were immediately, they're marketed and more actively, and we're seeing a lot more activity. So engaging a third-party professional actually was very helpful, I think, on the land bank side.
I would agree with Chuck. I think we've seen about a 70% increase in the sale price of our rehabilitation opportunities using a realtor, even with commission.
Is the commission for the land bank, is it a flat rate or is it percentage?
It is,
For their proposal, it's like flat.
for properties with a structure, I believe it's 29. It's the same as the one that is provided. So it's, I believe, a flat rate up to whichever is greater. Yeah, for the land bank, it's 2250 or 6%, whichever is higher. So where Agresti's for the one proposed would be a flat 5%, 4% if it's the same.
So, it's like, for instance, below, what is it? Like 22, 50, like 6%. So I guess like it would be more favorable on some of the lower purchase price houses than going the Agresti route.
Yes.
And what's our typical sale point, do you have any idea on like properties in that portfolio set? Like,
Since with the land bank currently with the properties with structures, we're seeing about a $10,000 to $15,000 sale price. Where historically under the redevelopment authority and land bank without a realtor, we were seeing anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 or $6,000 in sale price, depending upon the condition of the property. So it's allowed us to, one, get a market representation of what the value will be, but also give us that MLS reach that we didn't see it. And nothing against the developers that we've had in the past, but we were seeing the same 2 or 3 for the last 5 to 6 years coming, looking at our properties. And so it's allowed us just to expand that pool of interested developers a little bit.
and that's the same thing with vacant lots, or is that just a flat fee for Pennington with that $750? That's set. And I think that just comes out to about,
Yeah, it was $750 was a flat sale price for vacant lots. Which, and again, it's not, our standard redevelopment authority lots around about $300 sale price, so certainly those standard side lots, those aren't the ones we're looking for a realtor on. It's the ones that are developer opportunities. And with the land bank, that's, our property on West 6th Street, our properties up in Glenwood Hills, things like that. Whereas the authorities, certainly it may be properties in Center City where we have 4 or 5 lots connected, where we would be trying to put them out and looking for a developer who would potentially build some homes or some townhomes or whatever the case would be.
Thoughts, other questions?
Nope.
So Mr. Snippert's recommending the Agresti proposal. I might suggest that maybe we do a check-in 3 or 6 months from them and kind of give a report to the board to let the successful group kind of check back with us 6 months from now, a little quality assurance thing. It's always interesting to hear the reactions from the third party as to how things are going and everything. So is there a motion to accept the Agresti proposal with a 6-month check-in?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstains? Okay, it's moved ahead. Thank you. And our final item is really we have a request by the Erie County Redevelopment Authority to kind of reconvene. I thought it might be a nice opportunity just to kind of take a look at the deal. The deal falls out of my head every now and then, so I have to get it back in my head. And a chance also to see if there's anything that's changed that we might want to renegotiate. So we've been circulating some dates via email. The 26th looked promising. I know that Ms. Fair is out of town that week. So what would June 30th look like for everybody? Would Monday, June 30th be an okay date?
I'm good.
That's good for me. Andy, does that work for you?
Yeah, as
I'm
long
good.
as it's not, as long as it's during the day.
Okay.
I'm free during the day. I just work at 5 p.m.
Oh, okay. So would a 3:30 be good?
We looking at Zoom or in person?
Absolutely in person. These are relationship building kinds of meetings. I mean, and I'm going to ask that at least one board member from their organization comes to meet with us then. Also gives us a chance to kind of meet the other people then too. And if we need to do it outside, I could find a place to host it, so it's.
It would be, I think, a little more convenient if we held it somewhere off-site, just scheduling wise.
Sure. I'll take care of it.
Yeah, we only have, outside of this chambers, we only have one room in City Hall to utilize, so it makes it.
Yeah, and it's an important deal. I think it'd be good that we understand it, and I know they're probably thinking about some other ideas and counter proposals. I think that given the complexion of the federal government, I think that they're under some other pressures that weren't, known last November.
Right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess, we asked for counter proposals in November, so.
A lot of
It's good
change, a lot has changed in the last 6 months, and at least my life it has. I'm not sure about yours, but a lot has changed. So I think it's good to kind of reconvene. So we'll choose, say, 3:30 on June 30th. Perfect. I'll take care of that. All right. Any other business to come to the authority board today? How's everybody feeling?
We're good.
Doing okay? I'm actually starting to warm up, so it's, my teeth aren't chattering so much. So, motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Amen. All those in favor, aye. Thank you.